Okay. First off, don't worry about the beard. It's currently under construction. I had to do some things. I'm working on it. But never mind that. Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. We're a week away from the combine. A week away. This is that part of the year where everybody becomes an expert. Everybody becomes a scout. An armchair GM, all those different phrases and titles people want to give themselves. This is that time for us to show out. If we're tweeting about certain people, messaging about certain people, talking about this is that guy, this is my, it doesn't matter. Right now, everybody becomes an expert. And for me, I have some people that I'm keeping a close eye on when it comes to this combine. I have a combine watch list, and this is going to be Big Dash's combine watch list. And I am going to break it up into two parts. This time I'm going to be talking about the offensive side. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's talk about these quarterbacks. If you're a Giants fan, you already know we're looking for a quarterback. Depending on which side you're on right now, we are looking for a quarterback. And obviously, it's about the big three. It's the Caleb Williams, the Jaden Daniels, the Drake May, and then you're squeezing in Michael Penix, and then J.J. McCarthy, possibly Bo Nix. Those are those main guys. And with the New York Giants picking at 6, there's some real interest, especially within the fan base. I think the organization as well. There's a real interest on what these quarterbacks are going to do in the combine. Now, here's the thing. Will all of these guys participate in a combine? Absolutely not. Not in my opinion. We'll see what happens. I hope they do. I can't see Caleb Williams throwing in the combine. I can't see it. I can't. What are you doing? You can only hurt yourself, right? That's what I would love to see it, but I don't think Caleb Williams participates outside of like the interviews, the weigh-in and stuff like that. Now, that leaves Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, even Spencer Rattler. Those are really the names that I'm looking for. If I forgot somebody, I'm sorry, but I think that covers it all. And again, I had to go with the full-fledged notebook this time, full-size notebook, just to get these notes out, right? So I do believe J.J. McCarthy throws, Michael Penix throws, Bo Nix throws. I think those guys are going to throw because they're still, some people are considering those guys still fringe first rounders, right? Fringe. Second round grades with the ability or the chance to get to that first round, depending on a need and if a team falls in love with them. So I think all three of those guys throw. Now, the wild card right now for me is Jaden Daniels and Drake May. Will these two guys throw? That's the question. And again, do I think they should throw? Absolutely. I think they really should throw, but I'm not sure if they will. Spencer Rattler, another guy outside of that fringe of those top guys, but still can be a day 2 type of pick, possibly. I believe he does all of it. I believe he throws. He has a point to prove. He's one of those fringe day 2, day 3 guys. There's a lot of upside, a lot of optimism for Spencer Rattler, especially coming out of the Senior Bowl week. You're seeing his stock start to rise a little bit, rightfully so. But I just don't think that Caleb Williams does throw. I'm hoping Jaden Daniels and Drake May do it. And then you're just looking at the rest of those guys when it comes to Penix, McCarthy, Nix. I think all those guys are going to throw and throwing, Rattler, and then the rest of that QB invite list. Moving it on to the running back list. Now, this is when we're going to talk about some people that I'm interested in. So I did bring out my notebook again. So I'm looking at running backs. Some running backs that I'm interested in is Trey Benson from FSU, of course, Blake Corum from Michigan, Jonathan Brooks from Texas, Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, Bucky Irvin from Oregon, Audric Estime from Notre Dame, Dylan Johnson from Washington, and Jalen Wright from Tennessee. Now, here's the thing. I've been a big fan of Braylon Allen. I got some real interest in Braylon Allen and Audric Estime because I need a thumper type of runner, and those guys have that size that you're looking for. But lately, going back, reading some reviews, getting a chance to watch a little bit more tape, a guy that's been creeping up on my list right now is Jalen Wright from Tennessee, and I guess he's one of those James Cook type from Georgia prospect coming out versatile, can get involved in the passing game as well as the run game. Good speed. It's looking like he might run like a 4.3 40. So be on the lookout for Jalen Wright. See how he does and how he performs in the combine. Trey Benson again, FSU. He might be the first running back off the board. Consensus is he's one of the number one running backs. Him and Jonathan Brooks, one of those top running backs. And again, I don't think a running back goes in the first round at all. You probably see those guys, towards the end of the second, third round. But it's a lot of value in early day three for the running back. So for the New York Giants, I'm looking at guys like Braylon Allen. Definitely looking at a guy like Jalen Wright. I'm also looking at a guy like Dillon Johnson from Washington. The only thing that scares me about Dillon Johnson is hurt all the time. Can do everything, but was hurt a lot and often, and also missed out on that. He tried to give it a go. For the championship, but just couldn't be out there for his team. And then Blake Corum from Michigan, obviously. Everybody knows who Blake Corum is. I believe he has a possibility of going day 2. I like him better in that third round, the fourth round area. But it's all about value and see what these guys can do during the combine. So for my watch list for running backs, it's going to be Braylon Allen, Bucky Irvin, Jalen Wright, Dillon Johnson if he's able to perform, Jonathan Brooks, and of course Audric Estime. Actually, it's just a whole list. Throw Trey Benson in there, throw Jonathan Brooks in there as well. Like that whole running back, the New York Giants, especially what's going on with Saquon Barkley, we're in the running back market. We're definitely going to be in the running back market. So if you're looking at that running back competition or during the combine, all those guys are a possible target for the New York Giants. But I just liked a few of those names that I put out there for you guys. Now, when it comes to the wide receivers, obviously you have Marvin Harrison Jr., you have Malik Neighbors, you have your Keon Coleman, you have your Rome Odunze. There's a lot of guys. This wide receiver class is deep, very deep. And for a lot of these guys, this combine is going to mean a lot. Especially for if you're not in those top 3 names, your Neighbors, your Harrisons, your Odunzes. This combine is very, very important. Like there's a lot of guys to check for. Like I'm looking at my watch list for wide receivers, and my top guys, obviously those top 3. But after that, my first tier after that is Brian Thomas out of LSU, Keon Coleman, FSU, Troy Franklin, A.D. Mitchell out of Texas, and I just saw the review that Steve Smith Sr. had, and he mentioned how A.D. Mitchell was a body catcher. And in these drills, just like Quentin Johnson last year, they made it an emphasis to use his hands to catch these balls. So we'll see what happens with A.D. Mitchell. Xavier Worthy's another guy. Xavier Leggett, of course, a guy that's creeping up the list now. Not a lot of people were familiar with the name Malachi Corley, and a lot of people are now out of Western Kentucky. He's another one. Tez Walker had a up and down Senior Bowl week, had a case of the drops. We'll see what happens with that. Roman Wilson from Michigan arguably had probably the best showing for wide receiver, him and Ladd McConkey. Speaking of Ladd McConkey, he's on my list too. Jalen Polk out of Washington, and then also Jalen McMillan also out of Washington. It's like if you played for Washington, if you're a wide receiver and you played for Washington, you're probably going in the first 3 rounds, for sure. All of them. Odunze, McMillan, Polk, those guys are going early too. And then late, so some of the late guys will be a Jermaine Burton, Roll Tide, Alabama, Jamari Thrash out of Louisville, Javon Baker out of UCF, and then Xavier Weaver out of Colorado. Now, he got a late invite to the combine. This is Xavier Weaver from Colorado. Only reason why I know anything about Xavier Weaver is because I watched all of the Colorado games. And if they needed anybody to show up game in and game out, it was Xavier Weaver, the best, in my opinion, the best option for Shedeur Sanders, even over Horn Jr. So I'm curious to see how Xavier Weaver tests. He could be a guy that's super late, late round, but you could have some value in him. I think he's a gamer, but again, not too popular on a lot of people's list. Next position is going to be the tight end position. Now, if you follow me, you already know there's a couple of tight ends that I'm looking at that I'm very, very fond of. And this is not an order of rankings at all. This is just guys that I have on my combine watch list. And number one on that list is going to be Dalen Holker from Colorado State. He actually grabbed my attention in the Colorado versus Colorado State game. The guy was a baller, and then you follow him the rest of the season. He made me interested in Colorado State, so I took a liking to Dalen Holker, and I'm curious to see how he tests. The guy he's a pretty good route runner. He gives you that versatility. I hate to say it. Well, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to do a comparison right now. I'll save that for after the combine to see if a lot of my thoughts will be confirmed when it comes to Dalen Holker. But also Theo Johnson from Penn State, Jatavion Sanders from Texas, another versatile guy, receiving type of tight end. Jaheim Bell out of FSU, another receiving tight end. And then the guy from Kansas State, Ben Sinnott. My man Sal always talks about Ben Sinnott. That's one of his main guys. And actually, Sal is the reason why I have Ben Sinnott on this list, because he was the first one to mention his name. And I was like, yeah, let me look into the guy. And very versatile, can run the route tree, can also give you some H-back type of versatility. So, that's something good that the New York Giants could look for, in a tight end / H-back, which we have been missing, at least this last season, since we decided not to have a fullback and also only to have 2 tight ends on the active roster. Now, the last part of my combine watch list is going to be the offensive line. And this is a long list, so let me go ahead and just go through it. Obviously, you want to see Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu. But outside of that, you want to see Jackson Powers Johnson. You want to check for Graham Barton from Duke. Cooper Beebe, of course, from Kansas State. Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, guy I talked about before. Christian Haynes from UConn is a guard. Christian Mahogany from BC, also a guard. Bo Limmer is a guy that I'm looking at from Arkansas. He's a center. Brendan Coleman from TCU. Drake Nugent from Michigan. Solid center prospect, in my opinion. Could be a kind of guy that you can back up or bring in to try to back up, to have a real backup center for JMS. But Drake Nugent is a guy that I'll be interested in. And lastly, Zach Zinter, which I don't believe he participates because of the injury. He did have the broken bone in the foot. And or is it tib fib? I know he broke something. Was in a walking boot, during the national championship. I haven't seen any updates on his recovery now, but just a few guys. Just a few guys. That's a list of the people that I'll be watching for during the combine next week. And I'll get into the defense in the next video, but this was just a quick video of my offensive combine watch list. And hopefully these guys are able to perform. I would love to do a recap once the combine and stuff is over, and we'll see what happens with that. But that's going to be the video. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.